Live on stage at Venue 81 in Stockholm! Yeah! Well done, well done. All right, let's welcome the expert panel up on stage.
Welcome to The Laundry, the podcast connecting AML, compliance, and financial crime to the real world. And we are here live on stage from Venue 81 in Stockholm, Sweden. I'm your host, Marit. I'm the CEO of Strise, and in this episode, we are asking, where is the line between humans and AI in the fight against financial crime? As AI continues to evolve as a powerful tool in combating financial crime, its impact can no longer be ignored. But where do we draw the line between a human professional with vast industry knowledge and an AI fed the same information? What nuances can a human detect that a language learning model cannot? And can AI truly interpret and deduce? And are there aspects of financial crime and money laundering that require an additional layer of context to fully understand? As we've heard in the talk from Jeff, the villains in the shadows are already blurring the lines between themselves. So where is the line for those working hard to stop them? So in this episode, I am joined by great guests to discuss how AI is being currently used by compliance professionals, how AI impacts the ethics around compliance, and what does the future look like as this technology evolves. To dive into this topic, I'm joined here by Viveka Strangert, governance, compliance, and AML expert, and Christian Wandt, CEO of Compliance. Welcome to The Laundry, and give our guests a round of applause. Viveka, what can you tell us about you, your background, and your current roles?
My background, I'm a lawyer. I've been working in the financial industry since 2000. First in operations in the line as a legal counselor and then compliance officer in Skandia and Swedbank. And the last 7-8 years I've been working as a consultant. And sorry. No worries. I'm also a board member of several financial industry companies.
And Christian, what should we know about you, your background, and Compliance?
So Compliance is a niche consultancy firm, which I am a CEO, external one. Been there for a year about, and we do a lot of financial crime prevention and also other operational risks. And me personally, I have a background as a police officer, but also a legal background as a lawyer, and have been working in numerous different roles in the police, from the streets up to the central functions within the police, a lot with financial crime, and also been head of supervision for the Swedish Financial Supervisory Authority when it comes to financial crime, and the management consultant for people.
Well, thank you both for that introduction. Let's dive in. But before we go on, I have to ask, have the two of you heard about the biggest thefts ever made?
The salamander theft?
The
No.
So had you heard about the Axie Infinity hack?
I heard that North Korea stole a lot of crypto assets, and I think they're one of the rogue states intelligence services that use hackers to steal crypto, because I think it's a way to get around sanctions and a way to disrupt the Western world and a way to have assets to use in illicit activities.
And you, Viveka, had you heard about this heist beforehand?
I hadn't heard the full story. I have, just like Christian, heard about crypto assets in North Korea, but not the details. So it was really
it's a shocking story. Yeah, I really enjoy that. But let's dive into the topic about AI. Viveka, you sit on a lot of boards, and I am actually super curious to hear about what is the conversation in the boardroom when it comes to the use of AI within AML and compliance. What are you talking about in those meetings?
Of course, I can only talk about the boards that I'm on, and if any of my fellow board members hear me now, please excuse me, but we don't have that conversation that often. In fact, not at all.
Do you think you should be having those conversations?
Yes, of course I do. But I think due to the fact that people sitting on boards are my age or even older, we're not into technology as you are. And I think we don't get the presentations from the management and for the people coming in and presenting things, showing us how you can use it. Of course, that's depending on what type of board you are in, but I'm in quite conventional companies' boards. And I think we should have that conversation, because I'm sure that it makes the work more efficient and more secure, but it's also increases the risks that we are facing, either we want it or not, either we use it or not. So we do discuss information security risks, and I mean that's quite connected, but we don't discuss AI.
Do you think, Christian, that there is a disconnect between, let's say, the boardroom and then what your clients are requesting from you, and people doing operationally the AML work, and they might be requesting a lot of AI solutions, but that doesn't trickle all the way up to the top?
I think everyone would like to have good tools to do their job, and I think AI is a good tool and will become an even better tool both for criminals and for professionals trying to stop crime. And I know that in a lot of different boardrooms they also are discussing it, maybe not in, as Viveka say, the most, I wouldn't say old one, but I know that people that have large financial institutions also own or co-own smaller financial institutions, and they do their AI projects within those smaller ones because of quite good reasons, actually. Trying to do experimentations in a confined environment.
And talking about big financial institutions, you were the chief compliance officer in Swedbank. Did you guys talk about AI back then when you worked there, and how has that discussion evolved from back then until now?
I mean, I left 2016, so it's almost 10 years ago. So then there was no that type of discussions, but of course we were discussing how technology could be used for like transaction monitoring, KYC, but it was like more of an utopia that wasn't we had never seen it actually work being implemented in the business, and to be honest, I haven't seen when it's implemented and works perfectly well to this day. So someone needs to present it to me on a board level, I think.
Yeah, and that is an interesting question as well, because have you guys actually seen a good use case of AI in AML, that it's being used every day operationally to solve AML, KYC tasks? Are we using it, or are we just talking about it still?
Fully integrated, I think we're not there yet. Not in the extent that a lot of people would like it to be, but I think that if you ask people that have a good knowledge about artificial intelligence, I think they see good outcome already now, because it's...
Do you have any specific use cases that you've seen that you might be able to share? Maybe we can discuss it or repeat.
Yeah, I can. I have to choose who or what, and I choose what. I've seen larger banks that have used data, historical data, to put up a parallel activity and process to use artificial intelligence in quite early stage, and I think it's reasonable. I think it's good. And actually, when I was a supervisor, the companies that I always invited, if there's a lot of companies. Email the supervisor because they want to have a discussion, because then they can use that discussion when they talk with potential clients. The only ones that I always, besides when the director general asked me to have take on these different meetings, the only ones that I always invited was the ones that are talking about artificial intelligence. Of them, almost none actually did do artificial intelligence, and that was just a couple of years ago, because it's like a hype around it. But I think that will change quite rapidly now when we see OpenAI and all these large, really good software developers take on the challenge.
Isn't it also a question of how you define AI? Because, of course, you can use it to improve efficiency, but maybe it's not AI, it's just a very good technology that you use in repetitive work. And I've seen that work very well. But doing the things that you normally need a human brain to do, I haven't seen that in practice really well.
No, I haven't seen it either. And I don't think we are fully there, that we are ready to automate, because, but we are getting there. In Norway, we are working with a few banks who are now taking the leap and making quite significant advances in terms of automation. But we see that you still need humans in the loop to handle the hard cases, and you can't have a fully automated AML department just yet.
No. And will you ever?
Yeah, that's that. What do you think?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. But I mean, I'm not sure. But it would be really depressing to think that you wouldn't need.
I think there's quite easy to see a few dystopian scenarios as well. I mean, we've all tried LLM, large language models, ChatGPT, and when it comes up with crazy facts, just not based in reality. Imagine if you had the wrong data quality, you didn't have that data foundation, and you set an LLM on top of it, and it just comes up with who is sanctioned and who's a PEP, and it would turn into a whole mess. So I think in the AML function and compliance function, that's really one of the areas where you would always need a human oversight and human experts to really be able to make sure that we are working.
And not only a human expert, you also need human, sort of common sense. Does it look good, or?
But I think also that's how they use it now. If you look into medicine, for example, a lot of artificial intelligence can do quite good diagnosis because of statistics, but they can also, as you say, come up with really scary answers, and a doctor wouldn't. They are doing a sanity check, and I think that's where the human will still be very important to see, could this be right before you offboard a client or send information to the police showing. In the worst case, of course, artificial intelligence can also structure a report in a way that makes the red flagged customer look like it's been doing a criminal act, even if it hasn't. Even if the one that programmed artificial intelligence, the software, didn't mean it, it can actually think that it's doing the right thing because it tried to get to the point where it get people offboarded or get people punished.
Yeah, and that is definitely not where we want to end up. We want to use this technology for good, as the criminals are already using it for bad. And there's been some quite alarming stories in the media about where the criminals are using AI. We had the story in Hong Kong where a finance worker was tricked into paying out $25 million because they thought they were on a video with the CFO, but it was a deep fake. And then a couple in America got a call from a relative saying they were kidnapped. Again, it was a deep fake. But these stories are, very big. Do you think they are in the media because it's still so uncommon, or is this happening all the time everywhere now?
Yes and no, I would say. I think they're interesting now in media, but I think that it will be quite similar to when you look at the shootings in Sweden now. The media, it's not interesting anymore. After a while, you don't want to report anymore about the violence. I think the same will happen with this kind of frauds. We have known for a while that they will use deep fake to try to set up video conferences where more than one of the heads of an institution tells someone further down in the chain to do an activity that sends transaction a lot of money somewhere. So that's not new, but I think in the coming years we will see more and more of it, and hopefully we'll have also software that helps us to protect ourselves against it.
I think it's important also to look into it's the criminals using deep fake to trick someone, but it's always a human being trapped. So that's the weakest link, is always the human being. So of course it's really easy to be tricked, but if you ask some questions, where did we meet last time, or just having that, that's still the really weak spot.
True. And we heard from Jeff's talk how easily humans can be tricked. But we are halfway through the discussion, and I'm wondering if the audience is still alive. So we are going to include you now in this podcast and play a little game. So I'm going to say something, and if you agree, you will clap. And if you don't agree, you won't clap. So you get the game? All right. So we've talked a lot about using AI in your AML work. So first out, have you used AI to solve an AML task in your day-to-day job? If yes, please clap now. Oh, wow. And we talked about the automating the AML department. So if you think artificial intelligence is coming for your role, clap now. Oh, there's the... And if you think the machines can never replace you, please clap now. Yay! And if you're one of those where AI has already replaced you, you should boo now. Okay, no booing. That's good. That's really good. Okay, I want to get back into the topic of like, what does the future look like? So, if you were to imagine the day in the life of an AML KYC compliance professional in 2030, what does that look like? And how does it differ from today?
Of course, I think the very easy jobs, the more routine jobs will probably have disappeared, and you will be more of an expert. But there you have a problem. Today, you learn as you work, and you do those easy, simple tasks, and you learn, and then you upgrade, and you use actually what you did the first day at work to build your competence. And how will anyone become an expert if you don't do those really easy tasks to begin with? I think that's going to be a challenge. But that wasn't your question. But
No, but that's a really good point. And what do you think, Christian? What does a day in the life of an AML KYC compliance professional look like in 2030?
I think it will be less of us out there, since we won't have been needing this as Viveka says, this that does the research. But also I think will be a really good resource, a tool, because when you build teams today, you build teams with experts and you build teams with people that are doing your research and people that set together the reports. And it's quite a short period of time that you find that amusing and interesting and giving, and then you try to find a role that is more expert role. So I think actually we all can be more glad if you're not glad and happy. If you're not a translator, for example, then I think you're in a tough spot. And of course the ones that if you read fast or write fast, you're also will probably have to compete with artificial intelligence. But if it's specific expert knowledge, I think you're good for a while. Yeah,
I think, for instance, if you work with onboarding, ongoing due diligence, these types of jobs, I think if I were to look into the glass, like into the future, it would be more, instead of manually gathering a lot of data points, doing repetitive tasks, you come to work, you open your AI system, your AI companion, you get an overview of how many clients have been automatically onboarded, what's the trend with them, you review those who have yellow, red flags, you can ask it follow-up questions, have there been a change in the trend of new customers, can we start spotting new trends, what are the criminals up to now? You can input that directly back into the system, are there any customers following these patterns, bring them up to me, let's review it. You send in thorough information to the regulators, you get feedback on if you have included, you get some feedback back. At least that's a big topic in Norway at the moment, that you just send in SAR reports and you never hear back. You will have some feedback loop there. There is a very transparent and strictly according to the upcoming AI Act from the EU on how to share data among financial institutions, so we actually catch criminals and not exclude anyone. And I think it will be an even more rewarding job and even more expert knowledge. And you will be, if society is being desensitized to fraud stories, I think those who work in AML will be the frontline fighters and keep catching criminals. Because I think that like trust in our Western democracies, you cannot put an economic value to that, and we need to keep it up. So we can't let trust deteriorate through fraud and financial crime. But if we were to take the dystopian view, if we take like AI goes wild, what do you think that would look like?
I think Jeff was on something, and I think that earlier when you had this in London, the live pod laundry event, also the keynote speaker was on something there. Rogue states, their intelligence services have for a while now understood the value of using organized crime and the hackers for their own benefits. There is a lot of people out there that have low morals and have agendas that's not in line with democracy. And I think that if they understand how to, for example, steal a lot of money, and at the same time as they make a lot of money by stealing it from Western nations, for example, are able to destabilize a financial market, make it a bank run or anything, I think we're in trouble. And I think it might go very fast. And that's where I think artificial intelligence will both be a tool for the criminals, but I think that's also where we have to push the development of artificial intelligence to be able to detect and stop those kind of massive scale-up in frauds, for example.
What do you think, Viveka, if you were to take the bleak view?
I think one thing that I'm worried about, that is that you lose control. You don't have the governance. Who decides what you want AI to help you with? And who makes those decisions? And does that, if it's the board or if it's the top management that takes the ultimate decision on how you want to use it, if they don't have the specific knowledge, that could be a real problem. And another thing would be if you have insiders within the bank getting to know how you use AI and having the opportunity to sort of push and pull in a way so you can manipulate the system. That would also be really frightening.
And just, we're coming to the end of the show. You have touched upon it, but if you were to summarize it, if you were to like put 1 to 2 words, what are the real world consequences of not getting our relationship with AI right in this space?
I think there's no regulations that the criminals will follow or be compliant with. So if we have regulations that hinder the development of AI used by good guys, I think we're in trouble actually. So we have to get to know it and develop it for good reasons.
And if I take the board member role, I would say that it's really important to increase competence and knowledge and awareness of this also on a higher level in the society, both on board level, but also the politicians, and so you can have some sense of urgency in the area, which I don't think there is enough of.
I agree. And thank you for sharing your reflections. We are coming to the end of the podcast, but we will play a final quick game with our panelists and the audience in the room, meaning you. So, every movie has a tagline. So the movie about the identity thief, Catch Me If You Can, where Leonardo DiCaprio played, it had the tagline, "The True Story of a Real Fake." So we are going to play a game, guess the tagline, but for compliance terminology. So we have asked ChatGPT to write up a tagline for a lot of compliance terminology. So we asked it to write up for due diligence, and it said verify, comply, succeed, every detail matters. So now I'm going to say a tagline, and we're going to guess the term. Let's try, see how this goes. So, what is the tagline for where fortunes are frozen and alliances are tested? Panelist, any thoughts?
I do. I have two thoughts, actually. I just think what you said here, but sanctions, I would say sanctions, Russian sanctions particularly, and also when you destabilize organized crime, you see the same thing. Alliances aren't that good when you take their assets.
Yeah, I agree, and I'm quite nearsighted, so I don't see it. And I don't.
All right, but Christian, you were onto something because it was sanctions. So that was the tagline for sanctions. All right. So Viveka, you might be the one to guess this.
Yeah.
So yeah, listen. So the tagline is: speak up, unveil the truth, defend integrity.
Whistleblowing.
Yes, that is correct. And final one, amid shadows of power, every move echoes with consequence. Amid shadows of power, every move echoes with consequence. Maybe someone in the panel wants to have a guess. No, in the audience, sorry. What is this the tagline for?
That was a hard one.
I have a guess. Oh,
I think it's wrong. It's the Russian shadow fleet.
It could have been, but it is wrong for this. But this is a very common term. I think everyone in the audience know what it is. So, PEPs, it is PEPs. So if there was a movie about PEPs, amid shadows of power, every move echoes with consequence. Well, that brings this spin of the laundry to an end. To our panel, thank you so much for joining me. Where can people find out more about you and connect with you?
On LinkedIn, I think, is the easiest way.
find out more about me, LinkedIn maybe, and LinkedIn to connect, yeah.
And thank you, audience, for listening, and to everyone watching on the live stream. Please give yourself and our panelists a round of applause. If you've enjoyed this episode, don't forget to go check out the back catalog and follow The Laundry on your podcast platform of choice, or subscribe to our YouTube channel. And The Laundry is proudly produced by Strise, the AML automation cloud. Your data problem and your workflow problem, now it isn't your problem. Visit strise.ai for more information. Thank you and good night. And now it's time for pizza and networking and drinks.
Makes a world go round.